Hello and welcome back to the channel, welcome back to another video. In this one, it is transfer plans. So we're looking at how I've got on in game week 20, what I'm looking like for game week 21, and then a bit of a discussion about my future plans, my future transfers and things like that. So as you can see on screen, 65 points for game week 20. Now, this is before the Nottingham Forest and Wolves game. As you can see, I don't actually have any players from either of those teams. So if the likes of Sells, Wood, Aina get quite a lot of points, then my rank will take a hit. But yeah, at the moment 65 points, which is a 1.9 million game week rank, which gives me a green arrow from 93k to 71k. So not a bad week, currently on a green arrow. As long as I can stay on a green arrow or stay in the top 100k, I'll be pretty happy. Now, for Bruggen with 2 points, wasn't expecting anything from him this week. He was playing Chelsea, and he wasn't playing Chelsea, sorry. That's a complete lie. He wasn't playing Chelsea at all. He was playing Arsenal. And I was always expecting Arsenal to score, to be honest. I was expecting that to be a tough game in general, hence João Pedro on the bench, which we'll get onto. But yeah, as I say, I'm just glad I'm not spending more money on that goalkeeper slot. I say this in every single transfer plans and team selection video, but if I had, for example, Alisson, or I had Man City keeper or Raya, they all conceded and none of them got more points than Verbruggen did. And Verbruggen was 4.5 million, so like I say, I'm just glad I'm not spending more points on that position. In defence, now I had a really tough decision this week between starting Rico Lewis and Lewis Hall. Now, I knew that Lewis Hall would start. I didn't know that Rico Lewis would start. If I knew that Rico Lewis would start, then it was an easy decision to go with Lewis. Both of them had pretty good fixtures. It was more clean sheet points that I was expecting from Rico Lewis and more attacking returns I was expecting from Lewis Hall. Given their respective fixtures, neither of those came to light anyway, so it turned out it didn't actually matter on that decision. Both got 2 points. Lewis Hall was kind of expected, given that I thought that Spurs would score. Rico Lewis is a bit different. I mean, they only conceded 1 goal, Man City, but they could quite easily have conceded more than that. So again, not the best. Castan is an annoying one. This was a really good fixture for him, although I am quite glad that I did end up selling Henderson instead of Rico Lewis last week, because that would have meant that I'd have had double Fulham defence, which would have been pointless, and it meant that I got Lewis last week for his clean sheet. Trent Alexander-Arnold, 0 points. He put up an absolute stinker against Man United, which we'll get onto him and what I think about his future in my team and his future minutes and things like that. We'll get onto that when I talk about my Game Week 21 team, but it was not good from him. Then we have Salah captain, 7 points. He managed, obviously that was just a penalty, didn't really have much from open play. Man United just played really well, so was kind of lucky to get anything from Salah, albeit it didn't really matter because everybody has him and everybody captained him, so didn't really make too much difference what he did. Eze with an assist. Eze could have come out of that game with so many more points. I'm really glad I've got him in my team, given that his fixtures for the next couple are fantastic. Semenyo, another one that could have come out with so many more points from this game. Turns out, well, actually I was never really considering playing João Pedro over Semenyo, but obviously in hindsight it would have been the play. But this fixture was too good for Semenyo, and underlying wise he was absolutely brilliant in that game, so it's just another frustrating one where he played well but didn't get a return. Cole Palmer with 10 points. Chelsea were pretty good against Palace, to be honest. However, just the 1 goal. He did play well though, Palmer, so again I'm not too annoyed about that really. 10 points is brilliant. Mbeumo was the star of my game week. Can't even remember what returns he got. Was it 2 goals and 1 assist or something like that? One of them was a penalty anyway. But he's just absolutely fantastic. Ridiculous footballer. Turns out it doesn't really matter about the fixtures either. I mean, this fixture was obviously fantastic. Southampton away. 5-0 Brentford won. But he obviously scored against Arsenal the week before. He hasn't got good fixtures coming up, and he is one player that I am looking at potentially moving on. And it's not because I want him out of my team, it's just because the player I'm looking at replacing him with is really tempting me, but we'll get onto that. Jackson with 2 points, he was thoroughly disappointing. He had plenty of chances to score and didn't take them, but I'd be much more worried if he wasn't getting chances than him not taking them, because a professional footballer, a professional striker, is not going to carry on just missing chance after chance after chance after chance. So I'm fine with him in my team. I know a lot of people want to get rid of him, but I have no plans to. I'm absolutely fine keeping him. Isak continues his good form with a goal as well. Not really much to say about him. I mean, he's brilliant, and I'll be keeping him and I'll be playing him every week. João Pedro on the bench obviously is an annoying one. The fixture was bad though. It was against Arsenal, so the decision to bench him I don't think was bad. The only thing that I would think about it is that benching a penalty taker is just never a good idea, especially when you've got players that aren't penalty takers. Problem being is that Jackson was playing Palace. I don't really think I can bench him in that game. Semenyo was playing Everton. Maybe that's a play to bench him, but I just thought this was one of the better fixtures for Semenyo, so couldn't really bench him. But maybe that's a small lesson learned, just to not bench penalty takers, especially this week. I mean, this week there were 6 penalties, I think. Admittedly, 3 of them were in one game, but a lot of penalties. So wonder whether that continues or not. Either way, the team is looking alright, so let's see how I'm set up for Gameweek 21. Okay, as you can see, I have 4 free transfers up in the top left there, and I have 1.3 million in the bank. So I do have options, plenty of them, but we'll talk through my team first, and then we'll go into my potential transfer moves. So Verbruggen in goal, Ipswich away, one of the better fixtures for him. That does increase the expectation slightly, which isn't great, because my expectation for goalkeepers is always pretty low. But it is a good fixture. It's just a shame that Brighton aren't particularly playing that well at the moment. Either way, I won't be selling him this week. I will be selling him probably quite soon to Pickford. There just isn't really a good week to do it. So Verbruggen's better than Pickford this week. Next week, both of them are average. The week after that, Verbruggen's also better. So it probably doesn't happen until the double, or unless I'd be burning a free transfer and I need to then use a free transfer on that position so I don't burn it. In defence, I could play any of my 5 defenders this week. Lewis Hall obviously has Wolves at home, unbelievably good fixture. He is ridiculously attacking. With Botman back, there is a chance that he does lose minutes. I mean, they've now got Botman, Shah and Burn all fit. In kind of last season and previously, we've seen that all 3 of them will play where Dan Burn plays left back, but I just think that Lewis Hall has been playing so well this season that I struggle to see Burn playing over him, so I'm not too worried about that unless we actually see it. Then we've got Munoz with Leicester away. I am ridiculously glad I've got him in my team. He is so attacking. I posted a heat map or average position map of him on my Twitter or X, and he's part of every single Palace attack. He's basically a winger. In the average position map I posted, he was the 2nd highest player on the pitch behind just Mateta. So he's just incredibly attacking. If you don't have him, I would suggest bringing him into your team. Then we got Trent Alexander-Arnold. Now, like I say, he dropped like a next level stinker against Man United. So I am actually a little bit worried about his minutes going forward. Conor Bradley is now fit, and Conor Bradley is very good. So it's not like there isn't anyone that he would be benched for. I am slightly worried. However, unless we kind of hear anything about it, I don't think I can not start him. Other defenders I've got are Castan with West Ham away. Pretty good fixture really, and Castan's been very attacking. And then Rico Lewis, no idea if he'll start or not, but Brentford away isn't actually a bad fixture, albeit Brentford probably do score. Plus, I have Mbeumo in my team currently, so I wouldn't want an attacker against a defender if I can avoid it, and this week I can avoid it, so very unlikely I play him. Then In midfield, Eze has Leicester away, same as Munoz. Very, very glad I've got him in my team. I'm really tempted to just triple up on Palace. Their fixtures are too good and their players are brilliant as well. Sarr's so cheap, Mateta's good. I just don't really have anyone I want to sell. That's the kind of problem. Then we've got Mbeumo with Man City away. Now, not the best fixture. However, City have been better recently, of course, but if we look at the West Ham game for Man City last weekend, West Ham had so many chances on the break. Kudus, Somerville were really, really good on the break. They just couldn't finish their chances off. If we see the same in this game, the likes of Wissa and Mbeumo will take those chances. They are fantastic on the break. So I am kind of low-key happy with Mbeumo this week. Now, there is a world where I could sell him. We'll get onto that once I've gone through the rest of my team. But if I keep him, I really don't mind him for this week. Then it's Salah with Nottingham Forest away. Not the greatest of fixtures, but also not that bad. Not really much to say about him. Palmer with Bournemouth at home. This is just a better fixture. It's at home. And Bournemouth defence is worse than Nottingham Forest defence. So my captaincy will probably be on Palmer. That's not completely set. I haven't looked at my captaincy model yet. My captaincy model video will be out later this week, so stay tuned for that. But I think Palmer will probably be my captain. I will consider this once I've done my captaincy model video. My front line looks good this week. Isak has Wolves at home, brilliant fixture. He's going nowhere. Jackson has Bournemouth at home, same as Palmer. Obviously, he's been disappointing recently, but I think that he and Chelsea are still good, so I'm fine with him. Then João Pedro has Ipswich away, another good fixture, so happy to play him. Semenyo is currently on the bench with Chelsea away. Not the worst fixture, to be honest, but just not as good as the other guys I've got, and I don't really want to play him for a penalty taker. So that's where I'm at with the team at the moment. Again, it's quite likely that I will just roll. That will give me 5 free transfers next week, so I'll have to make a move next week or I'll be burning. The moves that I'm looking at if I do roll, essentially, we know or we're pretty sure that Liverpool and Everton will have a double game week in either game week 24 or game week 25. So I will need to start bringing in Everton players and a third Liverpool player, probably. Now, I will get a third Liverpool player because it's very unlikely that I'll use the assistant manager chip in that week, mainly because I've still got my triple captain chip. So I think that double will be the best use for that triple captain chip. I'll use it on Salah, and that means that I don't need to keep a third Liverpool spot open for getting Arne Slot. I will use that third Liverpool spot, but I don't think I'll buy a third Liverpool player until nearer the time, just because I can't be sure who will be playing around that time. Gakpo looks great. Could just go Konate. Could go Diaz, but I'm not 100% sure on any of them yet, so I'll wait till closer to the time. However, I will be getting in Everton players soon. Now, the two that I'm looking at to begin with is Pickford, as I mentioned when I was talking about Verbruggen. However, if I can, I'd rather wait till nearer the time to do that. The other one I'm looking at is Mykolenko. Very cheap. Although, I say Mykolenko, it could be any of the defenders. Although, Mykolenko just seems pretty good for his price. It will probably be Rico Lewis that makes way for him. Now, Rico Lewis does have good fixtures in the next few, so again, I'm in no rush to make that move, but that does seem like the one that will come first. So if I roll this week, then I've got 5 free transfers next week. I'll probably have to make the Rico Lewis to Mykolenko move then. So that is on the horizon. Now, there is one other transfer that I'm considering this week. We'll talk about that because I need to compare the two players. It seems like I've compared these two players for the last 2 or 3 weeks, to be honest, but the problem is they're both great. The fixtures are just quite different. So let's get into that. As I mentioned, we have talked about it quite a lot in my team selection and transfer plans videos recently. But Mbeumo to Bruno Fernandes is an option for me. Now, like I say, I don't feel the need to sell Mbeumo, don't get me wrong. He is brilliant. His next 2 fixtures aren't the best. So as you can see there, Man City at home is okay. Then Liverpool at home is pretty bad. So yeah, the fixtures aren't the best. After that, it gets very good though. So Crystal Palace away, then I believe it's Tottenham, Leicester, West Ham, Everton or something like that. From game week 23/24, the fixtures are brilliant. So the problem is, if I sold him, I would likely want him back quite soon, which is a problem because I don't really want to use 2 transfers on it. If I'm using 2 transfers, the move becomes less appealing. However, Bruno Fernandes this week has Southampton at home. Now we saw that Man United were much better against Liverpool at the weekend. They played incredibly well compared to what they've been playing like recently. If they can carry that on, Bruno Fernandes looks brilliant. Bruno Fernandes in particular was unbelievable. Him and Dalot in that left kind of side against Trent and whoever else was there, they were both absolutely brilliant. So if they can keep that up, then they could put a lot of goals past Southampton. We've just seen Mbeumo play Southampton and they were terrible defensively. So targeting Southampton is a genuine play and I really like it. However, after Southampton at home, the fixtures for Man United are okay. So it's Brighton, then it's Fulham. They've got Tottenham in there soon as well. The fixtures aren't unbelievable, they're just okay. And they're not that much better. If you include the Southampton game, they're not that much better than Brentford's really. If you exclude the Southampton game, then Brentford's are probably better from game week 23. So, like I say, it would be 2 transfers, one to Mbeumo to Fernandes, and then I'd probably want to reverse that transfer relatively soon, which is why it's a problem. Their numbers are somewhat similar in some ways. I mean, the XG is pretty much identical. The XA and Mbeumo has slightly more, but the actual goals and assists are kind of the opposite. Mbeumo scored 13 goals from 6.28 XG. Ridiculous overperformance from him. So whether he can continue that, I'm not sure. But yeah, then he's only got 3 assists from 4.6 XA, so he's underperformed that a little bit. The opposite can be said from Bruno, really. He's only scored 4 goals from 6.2 XG, but he's got 7 assists from 3.6 XA. So there's underperformance and overperformance both ways. Big chances and big chances created are pretty similar for the both of them. Bruno Fernandes is having a lot more shots though, as you can see, 53 shots to Mbeumo's 35, albeit the shots on target are slightly different. The quality of Mbeumo's shots seems to be a lot better, whereas Bruno Fernandes does quite often take quite a lot of kind of pot shots from outside the box. Not that really matters, because I mean he will score the odd one. But yeah, the only reason I'm actually considering this move is because I've got 4 free transfers and not a lot else to do. I mean, if I had 1 or 2 free transfers, then I wouldn't even be considering this, I'd just be rolling. But there is a chance that I get to the point where I will have to burn a transfer, which I just do not want to do. I'd rather take a good fixture now against Southampton and use 2 free transfers to reverse it. Because, as I mentioned, if I roll and don't do this move, I've got 5 free transfers next week. So in game week 22, I'll have to do Lewis to Mikalenko. In game week 23, I'll have 5 free transfers again. I'll probably have to get Pickford in for Verbruggen, which would mean that Verbruggen, in game week 23, Verbruggen has a better fixture than Pickford, so that's really not ideal. Then in game week 24 or 25, then I've got more moves to make. So it's really not the end of the world if I do roll, because the chances of me burning are quite low. I'd have to get another Everton player in 24, or a Liverpool player in 24, and then the other one to that in 25, if that's when the double is. Then after that, I will want quite a lot of transfers in the bank, because then we'll know about the blanks that happen in game week 29. And I don't want to use a chip in 29. I want to dead end my team essentially in 29 and potentially wildcard in game week 30. So that is one piece of general advice that I would give. If you can roll this week or next week, these coming weeks, then I would, because you're going to want transfers on Everton and Liverpool players for their double. After that, you're going to want transfers to deal with the blank game week in 29. So building up a pot of free transfers right now is a very good idea. But yeah, I'm not sure what I'll do with this move yet. I will be doing a team selection video closer to the deadline. The deadline is on Tuesday this week, so we've got a while. I'll be doing a captaincy model video later in the week. I will also be doing a player rankings video with George from Ingenuity Fantasy, so stay tuned for all of those. But that's all for this one. If you like the video, hit like, do subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.